Kathy, tell me something. Why do you love Mark, don't you? Did he give you a lot of money? Was that
Money?
it? Was it a lot of money?
Not at first.
Well, okay. Does he do it because he does everything right? Right?
No, I just love him. He's who he is.
She just lost him because who he is. Okay. Sharon, you love Michaela, don't you? Is it because she's always made straight A's all through college? I mean, all through school? Almost. Her room has always been neat as a pin, right? Well,
It's not working.
she always does chores without being asked, right? I'm not getting anywhere. See, the deal is, we all have people that we love dearly. And it's not because they love us back, necessarily. It's not because they've earned it, or because they deserve it, necessarily. It doesn't hinge on whether they're rich, good looking, say all the right things, have great teeth, or slamming body. But, although that might sweeten the deal a little, but it's all an unmerited gift, right? And still, we want to be confident in our love. We all have a need for reassurance that it's not in vain, right? Peter's first letter, our second reading today, has some of the most reassuring verses in all of Scripture. We are precious in the eyes of the Lord, graced with dignity and worth. We are invaluable, cherished, and esteemed without regard to conditions or any kind of individual merit. We are a holy priesthood, the successors to a kingdom that will never fade from existence or glory. We are a chosen race, which means we are all descendants from God, despite the accidentals of color or culture. But most importantly, we are loved completely, unconditionally. Now the only question is the one I posed here earlier. Why? Why does God love us? Why are we precious to Him? Well, because each of us is a unique reflection of His love. Because He sees in us the love He has for His only Son. Because each of us is called by our baptisms to carry on the life of Jesus in the world. And God sees Jesus at work in us. That means God sees us as a mirror image of His only Son. That means we have the dignity of His children. And that means we are a reflection of everything we too seldom see reflected in our culture. Now I'll show you what I'm talking about. Try this tonight. A little remote roulette. I flip through some of the channels, and especially the reality shows. And you'll notice a pattern that's repeated over and over again. First thing, it begins with the pursuit of self-gratification or self-aggrandizement. Two, there's little or no consideration given to the impact that it's going to have on others or even oneself. Three, the person will reason that he or she can make exceptions, that he or she has a right to do what they're doing, and ultimately 4, the person is going to lose some measure of their dignity, their worth, and will diminish it in those around them. The unfortunate thing is, we all tend to do that. We make exceptions for ourselves. We convince ourselves that some things are okay for us to do, even if they're not quite proper. Even though we may not tolerate that kind of behavior in anybody else. Maybe a little lie here or a little nasty remark there. Maybe a little gossiping here, a little fudging on the timesheet there. Maybe a little cheating here or a bit of porn there. I know I shouldn't do it, but I normally wouldn't act this way, but this isn't something I want my mama to find out about, but and pretty soon we find we're all sitting in deep muck on our butts. You see, church, the longer that stuff goes on, the bigger it gets, until we find that we've started losing respect for that reflection in the mirror. In our gospel today, Jesus tells Philip that he's the perfect reflection of the Father. He says, "Whoever has seen me has seen the Father." Well, okay then. If we're supposed to be the reflection of Jesus in God's eyes, but we've lost respect for the reflection that we see in the mirror, then what does that say about our relationship with Jesus, with God? We not only lose respect for ourselves, but for the one who made us, the one who loved us into existence. I mean, no wonder our selfishness, our self-gratification impacts all of those around us. No wonder it especially affects the ones that we're closest to, the ones we love and who love us back. No wonder we sometimes feel it hard to have faith and trust in God. And when this happens, we tend to find ourselves lost in ourselves. We can no longer see the way because we no longer reflect the light of Christ. The mirror is dimmed, darkened, doubtful. But let not your hearts be troubled. When Thomas and the others could not see the way, when their eyes were dimmed, when their world was darkened, when everything seemed doubtful, Jesus didn't need to write down a set of directions, did he? He didn't tell them to log on to Google Maps. He gave his disciples and all of us something infinitely better. Himself. Because he is the way, the truth, and the life. And even though he has gone on ahead to prepare our everlasting dwelling places, Jesus left us with the ultimate GPS system. One that is foolproof, one that will never go offline unless we take it offline. He left us his Spirit. That means we are not lost on the road. That means we are not abandoned to make our own way. That means that we will never ever travel alone. We are a chosen race. We are a royal priesthood. We are a holy nation. And we are a reflection, a mirror image of God's own Son. And if you didn't think it got any better than that, then listen to this. We are loved beyond imagination. Now, Jesus concludes this scene in the gospel with a request and a promise. He says, "Believe me that I am in the Father, and the Father is in me. Whoever believes in me will do the works that I do, and will do greater ones than these." Do you believe it? Will you believe it? Because if you will believe, if you will trust, and if you will just have mustard seed sized faith, and the next time you pass a mirror, you better be wearing polarized lenses because it's going to get bright in that room. Shine on, church.